Welcome back. Another review. We're talking about They Cloned Tyrone. #1 on Netflix this weekend. Came out Friday. Listen, when I watched the trailer, I saw like bits and pieces of the trailer. This movie ended up being totally something that I didn't expect, and I'll break it down. I thought from the trailer that the three of them were like on some Fifth Element superhero type stuff. I did not know that they were playing the characters that they were playing until I saw the actual movie. All right, so John Boyega, who I've been a fan of his since Attack the Block. I'm pretty sure I've said that before in a past video. If you're not familiar with Attack the Block, I'm pretty sure it's on some kind of streaming service, might be on Tubi. That was his first movie, and I've been a fan of his ever since. But so he plays the main character, Fontaine, and I cracked up immediately when I heard Fontaine because it made me think of Pretty Ricky Fontaine from The Martin Show. But anyways, so he plays this just straight up gutter ghetto drug dealer, right? Like the lowest of the low. Jamie Foxx plays a pimp, and forgive me, but I forget that girl's name. She's a talented actress as well. She plays a hooker. She's actually Jamie Foxx's hooker in the movie, right? So Fontaine, he ends up getting shot from this guy that he actually assaulted earlier in the day. He gets shot, then he just, bam, he gets shot like 10 times or whatever, wakes up in his bed the next day. No bullet holes, no wounds, no wires coming out your nose, none of that, right? So everybody that he's encountered is like, you was shot the other night. And so as I'm watching this, I'm like, okay, so I'm guessing they clone Tyrone, they clone him. So he does end up finding his, I guess, dead body with the holes in it and everything like that. So up until the big reveal, right, of what's going on in this area, we see things like a commercial for chicken. I guess it was supposed to be like kind of like Popeyes or something, because they said something about some spices or whatever. I think they're making a mockery of Popeyes and KFC. Plus, it was a bigger message in that, which I will get to later on in the video. So watching this chicken commercial, right, and this, I'm laughing, but I understand, it's serious too. I figured it was like a spoof, right, of chicken commercials and black people, what have you. Then we get to the relaxers in the hair salons, which are making, I really couldn't see them acting differently from that. But the juice that's taken during, the grape juice that's taken during communion had people, dancing and acting kind of wild. So we find out that there's mind controlling ingredients in the stuff, in the food and things that people are consuming in this particular area, this particular part of town, which is poverty stricken, mainly black people, right? So that's when they discover like this whole, everything is just, you got cameras everywhere, everything's being watched, everything's being recorded, right? Now, one of the things I like about this movie is I always love when a movie can give you a message but add some humor into it, because I think a lot of times people that, and like I said, I don't even like using the term woke anymore, because I feel like it's been turned into this something that it's not, but I'm gonna use it for intensive purposes of this video. I feel like a lot of times people feel like in order for you to be woke, you cannot have a sense of humor. You have to be serious and outraged all the time. And I feel like when you are talking down to someone, they're at least likely to listen to you. And this movie ended up giving you messages after message without kind of like preaching to you about it. And I actually think I want to watch this probably multiple times, because there's probably some stuff that I missed. Kind of like when you're watching a Jordan Peele film, you watch it again, you're like, okay, I didn't see that. Okay, oh, okay, this right here means this. And I think that's how they clone Tyrone is, right? You know, um, I'm so happy where film is going. I know we're dealing with a writer strike right now. I believe there's an actor strike as well, and I hope that my fellow creatives get what they are demanding and deserve. But I do like this era of black film. I want to say it started about 20, I'm going to say when Get Out came out, you started to see more of a genre of black horror, black sci-fi, uh, fantasy, things that are not of the norm that we usually see in black films. So I would say about about the last 6 years or so. So I'm looking forward to this decade of movies, man. Black film in particular, definitely. So we get to a point in the film where Fontaine, Jamie, and the girl, the hooker, they infiltrate. I'm sorry if I'm saying that word wrong. Infiltrate, you know what I'm trying to say. They get into this underground organization that is controlling this community and cloning people. And Fontaine ends up getting knocked out and taken into this room where he's talking to this I think he's playing that character too, right, with makeup on. So he's talking to this other black man, and then there's also a bodyguard that John Boyega is playing. So he's playing a lot of different parts in this movie, as well as his clones, right? So he was basically talking about he said, assimilation is better than annihilation, right? And then behind him, he had these models of men, and it starts off black and it slowly turns to white. So I think he was trying to say that they're trying to, I guess, like assimilate, just blend in to the point where you can't tell. And so one of the things I learned while watching the movie also is I was like, well, why are they cloning drug dealers? And like, so if somebody gets shot and killed, they bring them back out there again. Well, they wanted to keep that area in a certain... They basically wanted to keep what was going on in that area going on. And it makes you question, do you really have the freedom that you have? Like, even though this movie is extreme with, like, you eat a piece of chicken, you start laughing uncontrollably, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at it, when it comes to poverty, most obesity is actually with poorer people, right? Well, let's break it down. Health food is super expensive. If you're talking about eating 100% grass-fed beef, you're talking about $10 or $11 a pound at the store versus the beef that's probably fed corn, which is not a cow's natural diet, right? And then they pump it full of antibiotics because the cow gets sick. That's like $5 cheaper, maybe even cheaper than that. Canned goods. A lot of times you go to a food bank. If you're a poor person, low income person, you're low on food. You go to a food bank, you're getting a bunch of pantry stuff, stuff loaded with sugar, salt. So there is some truth to the income that you have, the area that you live in. Like, give you an example. I'm going to get back to the movie, but I feel like this movie is definitely a movie that's going to bring on a lot of topics. Where I live now is totally gentrified right now. But 10 years ago, it was dominantly poor black people over here, right? You can tell. You want to know why? When you go up and down the street, there's fast food after fast food after fast food. There is payday loan after payday loan after payday loan. You go to the rich side of town, you're going to see fast food places, but they're not going to be like 10 on a block or you know what I'm trying to say, just back to back to back to back. You're not going to see Payday in places. So in this movie, and I like how, you know, like when Fontaine, he would go to the corner store, he would get a 40 ounce of malt liquor. I think there was a big sign on the outside where the blocks were like Waffle House blocks, but it said got drinks on it. Like everything was real blatant. Like, okay, look, we're going to give you the alcohol. Here's the chicken. The chicken's going to make you laugh. So to shout out to the writer, and he directed it. Like, I'm so inspired, man. Like, when I see stuff that inspires me like this, it makes me want to get in there and finally finish my draft, okay? So let's see, what else I want to cover in the movie. Oh, okay. Now this is let's get a little more lighthearted, right? So it's called They Clone Tyrone, and I took it that they meant it two ways. When they said they cloned Tyrone, I think they meant just clone a black dude, period. Hence Tyrone, right? And then at the end, after they freed all the clones and stuff and just totally dismantled this organization, we see, boom, who we think is Fontaine, but he's in another part of the country. This is another John Boyega character, and he's doing the same things, you know, Fontaine is. He's getting the liquor at the store. He's, you know, possibly in the dope gang. I think he's a gang member. I think he was like a Crip or something like that, right? So at the end, him and his friends are sitting in the living room watching the news of what happened with this whole dismantling of this organization in this other city. And we see Fontaine on the screen, right? So one of his homeboys looked at dude and he was like, "Ain't that you, Tyrone?" Now see that right there, because I was like, who's Tyrone? I'm thinking they're just saying that as a, you know, just a, like I said, like for black dude, like, you know, oh, that's a Tyrone or a Keisha. So I took it that was a play on that word in two different ways, because we finally see an actual Tyrone at the end. And then Erykah Badu got up there. We didn't actually see her, but the ending credits, she was singing Call Tyrone, Clone Tyrone, and she changed the words a little bit to match the movie. I said, this is, I love it. And I understand everybody has their preferences, but for people who didn't like it, I don't know if you just didn't get it. It went over your head. Maybe that's just not your thing. Another thing I wanted to talk about also, and I'm going to bring Cinnamon into this, my last movie that I talked about. I see the similarities in the both. They kind of have that blaxploitation look about them. Now, a lot of people say blaxploitation films exploit, you know, it's negative and all that, but I think it's actually how it's shot as well. It's shot a certain way. One of the scenes I really liked was before Fontaine got shot, literally shot, in the movie. He was outside of a motel, and the motel had pink lights, and I like how the director decided to make the outside of it kind of blurry, and everything was really pink. When he was sitting in the car right before he got out to approach the guy that was about to shoot him, it was pink. I think, you know, I want to say, I think that was done because it's showing a sort of emotion. You know, warm colors show a certain emotion, like passion, excitement, and that's stuff I look for when I watch movies. I look for all that kind of stuff. So in a nutshell, it was written well, directed well. They had a bunch of stars, maybe not a bunch, but they had Kiefer Sutherland, my boy David Allen Greer, who I didn't even know that was him until I was on Twitter and they showed him when he played Reverend Lonnie Love on the Martin Show. And I love David Allen Greer. I think he's one of the most underrated actors/comedians ever. Okay, so I don't know how much time I have on this phone, so I'm gonna cut this video before the phone cuts off. Okay, as always, man, peace and blessings. Shout out to my subscribers and viewers. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch little old me talk about TV and movies. All right, until next time, y'all, have a good one.